Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here now. What can I say? For today, we're starting out the week strong with the incredible, amazing. She's back. First of all, she's back. The incredible, amazing, the badass, the superstar, the one and only. She's been on the show, I don't know how many times now. Mallory. Mallory, how are you today?
I'm so great. How are you? It's great to chat again.
Really fantastic. What better way, right, to start up the week strong than to be chatting with you again? You know what I mean?
Yeah, feeling good. This is a great way to start the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, and also in the description below, you're going to find all of Mallory's social media. Let's follow her. By this point, you should know how badass she already is. But if not, I'm going to leave you all of the chats she has been so you can be like, okay, let's see. Let's discover why she's super badass. But for today, we have a total different activity now. For today, we're going to talk about how we kind of see the whole acting entertainment industry in the next 10 years. Now, what better way to be chatting that with someone as badass as Mallory again, Absolutely. So, I want to start this whole conversation by throwing out the first question, which is, with the rise of streaming platforms and on-demand content, how do you foresee the future of traditional cinema over the next 10 years? Hit it.
So this is a conversation that I feel like everybody has had on set. And like anybody in entertainment talks about it a lot. I think especially with the strike, we've started having conversations of what is acting going to look like and the profession going to look like in 10 years. I personally think, and I feel like a lot of other people are on the same wavelength, that we're starting to see a lot of streaming platforms like Hulu combine with other people and offer packages and things like that. So I think we're slowly getting back to the point where we want traditional TV again,
Mm-hmm.
where we pay for one service, we get all the shows and movies that we want to see. And a lot of people are returning back to this nostalgia of going to the cinema instead of watching it on a screen at home. Um, will it be back to what its former glory was? I don't think so. I think we're past the era of every weekend people are going to the cinema. But I definitely think that they're going to stick around.
Yeah, I do agree the
Well,
same thing.
yeah, and we were talking earlier that you just saw Inside Out too. Did you see that in the cinema?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Yeah, but
Yep.
that's the thing here because you want to see like the whole experience to it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. There's a whole other feeling of being in a theater, seeing it for the first time. There's nostalgia, there's a massive screen, surround sound, and then I think like the popcorn and little like soda is adds to the experience. So you can't
Yeah.
beat that at home.
I do think that perhaps cinemas will stay just for the experience to it, for some for like for some films, like for example what we saw on Oppenheimer, that a lot of people were like
Right.
thrilled to watch it on cinema because of the whole experience on IMAX and the sounds and everything. So I kind of get that they will stay, but at the same time, for example, with some movies too, you can hear people saying like, you know what, I'm just gonna watch it when it's on stream,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So I do think that we are kind of that somehow we are having like the 2.0 of the cable version, as back then because for example here I've seen that some cable companies what they're starting to do now is that if you yeah they will get you I don't know they will get Disney Plus, Prime, Netflix, and Max for
Uh-huh.
for a price, and then you kind of sign with them and they will give you like those streaming platforms, you know what I mean?
Yeah, which I think is a really intelligent marketing and an intelligent plan. I'm totally with you that we're slowly just recombining everything again. And even the streaming platforms are trading content,
Hmm.
which, is a way for them to make sure that they don't have all the same content. They're keeping people engaged. Um, but eventually, I mean, they're making those collaborations right now. Who's to say that they don't merge or, offer those packages? So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
so I think that at some point we might gonna have that like all of those cable companies be like, you know what, we don't offer. Well, we still offer some cable, sure, but
sure.
we're offering you Disney Plus or Prime or all of that. So,
Hmm.
but yet again, the thing also with is that we're kind of having too much streaming platforms at this point, you know what I mean? Which is great, but sometimes most of the time, I'm like overwhelmed of the whole
Yeah,
content, like there's been several times in which I'm like, okay, what I'm gonna watch today, and I ended up doing something else because I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? So,
that's such a great point. Yeah, because it is, I find it extremely overwhelming to, I only have one subscription, um, personally, but then my family has another subscription. And even that, having to decide if I'm going to go between the two or what I'm going to watch. Most, if I am going to watch something, I'm going in it with the intention of I'm going to watch Abbott Elementary or I'm going to watch Poor Things, not I'm going to go to Netflix and watch whatever they have. It is definitely overwhelming. And even discussing with people like, oh yeah, I want to watch this. What streaming service is it on? Is it on? And it's on Tubi or
mhm.
whatever, some other platform. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm probably not going to pay for it because I don't already have it, and that's too much.
Hmm.
So,
Or you ended up hiring a subscription because a TV show it's on, I don't know, an A streaming platform. It happened to me
I,
when when the Fallout TV show was released. It was on Prime, and I was like,
uh-huh.
I don't have Prime, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna hire Prime. So I did,
Yeah.
and once you realize it's been already like 2 months and I'm still paying it, and I'm like, oh crap. But it's but that's the thing here that you're like, okay, sure, I will watch whatever they have there, and then you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like I do think that that at some point we're gonna have maybe like maybe like the big ones will buy the small ones to kind of like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I guess
we'll
we'll see
reach
what
some sort
happens.
of equilibrium. Whatever it'll look like, I don't know, but I think we might condense a little bit at least.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep. Now, how do you think advancements in technology like deepfake AI and virtual reality will influence the acting profession?
this is tough. I think in acting in particular, it's dangerous. Um, some production companies have already proven that they are willing to take any loophole necessary to not hire and pay people what they're
Mm.
due. Um, so I am worried that deepfake AI is going to become mainstream, more likely in commercials,
Mhm.
because that's I know in I want to say it was China or Korea that they had an entire commercial with deepfake AI, and it truly was very difficult to tell. Um, it was beautifully done. It was very cinematic. But I think in terms of film, it's really difficult. It makes the actor's job harder. I mean, we do it all the time, but it makes the actor's job harder to interact with somebody that we've never seen. We don't know what their reaction is going to be, and we don't know how they're going to respond. How are we supposed to react to something like that? So we'll do it a lot in like horror films where they have to generate the monster and things like that. But even then, you have somebody reading the lines to you. So yeah, I think actors will still stay around. I think certain areas of acting may diminish with AI, but and especially in commercial, but I hope that's not the case. I really hope it's not. It does scare me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like when you think about it, like how fast all of this thing have gone. You know what I mean? Like a couple of years ago, we
Mhm.
would be seeing it on films, or they would be saying like there's like an AI coming, and you'd be like, hmm. I remember like for example when Siri came, you were like, oh, like your virtual
Right.
assistant, right? But it was like not properly working. I never used it, but people were excited about it, because
Hmm.
it was like the future, and now we can see that. It's crazy that, for example, you can create a lot of crazy stuff on like with the whole AI. There's like AI image creators now that you can put whatever you
Right.
want. You can put, for example, Yoda wearing a Christmas hat on top of Mount Everest with a pina colada and something like that. You know what I mean? Like it appear that, and you're
Right.
like, okay. But I'm kind of a little bit worried too, of
Mhm.
how of like the use they are giving to it. An actor once told me that perhaps the whole AI should be working with us and not for us, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I do believe that AI only has as much power as you give it. So it is a wonderful platform for sparking creativity, and there is a level of artistry to it. Um, I think it comes down to us to determine whether we use it to replace jobs.
Mm,
Um, and how much honesty we use in it. There's also a debate going on of if you use ChatGPT to write something, do you deserve to have your name on that piece, or should ChatGPT be noted as a source or noted as an author, even though it's not a physical
mm,
living being? Um, so yeah, I definitely agree that we should work with it. It is a wonderful way to open your creativity outside of what you might already do. But it definitely shouldn't work for us. If anything, I would love it to do my laundry and
yeah,
do my errands
absolutely.
so I can do the
Hmm.
creative stuff that I love. You know, if we could get an AI to I don't know, and that's hard because I'm thinking of like, what are the menial things on set? Bring us coffee, but even there's a PA that does that. So that's tough. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, we're kind of seeing it already kind of taking jobs for
okay.
like for some companies when you call their customer service, it's already like an AI going there and you're like, like where's the human touch to it? I do
Right.
like I do think that perhaps I mean, sure, they're gonna be making films with that and everything, but I'm kind of a little bit afraid that, for example, let's say that they will scan your face and they will use your face basically for
Mhm.
for basically eternity, which I do think that perhaps, I mean, that's wrong because what if they're using your image for something that the real you, let's say, does not support?
Right. And that's what happened with the IATSE strikes in the States recently is we did bring up that in the or not the IATSE strike, sorry, the union strike for SAG, that we discussed like we don't want AI, we don't want anybody to be taking our images and passing it along as us without our permission. And so now they have to write that into a contract if they do so want to do that, like using specific generated images to use forevermore. Um, so I don't think it will necessarily be as common. However, it is possible because AI is able to pull from whatever information it's given. If it's given Google, you can search me on Google and you'll find it. You can search yourself and you'll find an image of you,
Mhm.
if you have that much of a like web footprint. So yeah. It's I think it comes down to the ethics. I've heard a couple of discussions about AI being used for stunts so that they don't need to hire a stunt double and put somebody at risk. But also stunt doubles are wonderful and they're incredibly talented at what they do. So yeah, I've already forgotten like how we got to this point, but yeah, I just can't even fathom creating a being. I will say, I have had a director ask to scan my body to recreate it in dangerous situations that I didn't feel were necessary to the film, anyways. And I did bring up, like, I'm not comfortable with that. For you to have my entire image
Mhm.
to just put wherever, no,
Mhm.
I don't think you could pay me to do that.
Yeah, that's the thing here. And yeah, I mean, it's scary. Yeah, it's for sure. It's worrying. And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm like, when is it going to be enough? You know what I mean? Like, I do think that here's the thing that perhaps, yes, they're going to be creating this stuff and all of that, but I'm hoping that at some point we as a society could be like, you know what? No, we want the human touch to it. We want to, like, for example, when you see a film, TV show, you want to know who write it at some point, right? You want to kind of relate to the story somehow, and if you realize that it was made by an AI, I mean, perhaps you're gonna say, yeah, it's cool, but yeah, you're not gonna care. You're gonna be like, whatever. You know what I mean? So because like somehow we want those mistakes. Let's say we want like that human. I mean, that is what we love about watching films. The fact that we're watching real people doing crazy stuff or doing stuff or like like things here and that. So maybe we're gonna be able like to watch some of those stuff created by an AI. But I'm hoping that there's gonna be like, okay, sure, but we want something else. So perhaps at some point we might have like a mix between stuff made by an AI and the stuff made by real people, let's say.
Sure, yeah. Because I think like CGI, this is something that I don't know much about in terms of like the specifics, whether CGI is AI or not, because you definitely have to have the intelligence to code for CGI and incorporate it. But that could be something that in the world of like CGI landscapes that AI is used as an alternative to CGI,
Hmm.
which could be cool. But yeah, I do wonder if it's almost like the streaming to cinema discussion of we're going into this really heightened fear and usage moment, and maybe at some point we'll find an equilibrium of what we're comfortable with and the ethics behind it.
Yeah.
We'll
So we'll see what happens.
see what happens. Yeah. Sitting
Yeah.
on, what is the phrase? Sitting on nails, just waiting to see, nervous. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I was like a couple of days ago. I was like, you know what? Let's see what the fuss is about with whole ChatGPT thing. Because some friends have told me like, hey, why are you not using it for your podcast? And I'm like, no. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care if it takes me hours or days. I don't need
Yeah.
ChatGPT like to create stuff. I can do it myself. So I was like, but you know what? Let's see why everyone keeps telling like you need to use it, you need to try it. So I was like,
Uh-huh.
let's see. So then I wrote like make a script for a horror film in which a duck is the main villain. Go.
Ooh.
So a couple of seconds later, put everything on it, and I was reading it to it, and I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I mean, it's not. I mean, it is kind of bad, but at least you kind of have the idea to it. So then I was like, what if? I mean, if you kind of use it to get the idea on something that you're gonna create on your own,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And
Like
then flesh it out
perhaps,
yourself. It's cool. Yeah. I can
but
definitely see the power in it.
hmm But in order for that to create everything for you, I mean, no, because like when you start to seeing it, you will see a lot of mistakes going on and a lot of things that perhaps doesn't make quite sense. But
Mhm.
yet again, I mean, that's because maybe at this point it's not like so advanced as in a couple of years would be for sure. But but as I say here, I mean, perhaps we need to find a way that how to that will work with us. Otherwise, they're gonna be making us super lazy. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. You know what I mean? And that is a bad thing. So
Yeah, very true. And unimaginative. If you don't use that muscle, we could get really, really daft and not creative.
and that's the thing here. Like I have like discovered that us people we want to do. I mean, we need to do stuff. If we don't do anything, then we will leave our minds to do whatever and then that tends to create chaos or mess somehow.
Mhm. Very true.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm very optimistic of what will happen, but yet again, I mean, I'm a little bit like expecting like the hit, like like
Yeah.
you're already covering like you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So
So I'll just
yeah, yeah, like you were a kid and you did something, and then your parents will still not finding out what you did. You'd be like in the corner, be like, okay, they're gonna realize at some point. You
Uh-huh.
already covering yourself. Like, what should I run? Should I put myself behind the bed? Like, what should I do?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
Goodness.
Now, with many actors transitioning to roles behind the camera as directors or producers, do you see this trend intensifying in the near future?
I don't know. I think now that it's becoming a bit more accepted, maybe. I don't think, from my knowledge, I don't think it was necessarily discredited, or at least in the indie world, sometimes there was a period of time where it wasn't as pleasurable to agencies that actors were doing, like producing their own content and stuff. But I think it's just another way to release your creativity. It also expands your knowledge of how a film is made. Sorry, the dog wants to go outside. How a film is made, and knowing your camera angles. I think it adds a lot to your performance as an actor. And also, I work in production management and AD work, and it's really nice to have time to just think logistically and get to watch other people play. Um, of course, I want to play and I want to act all the time, but it is nice to have that side to side. So I don't know. I guess it's up to every individual person. I don't think everyone is capable of being behind the camera, and that's okay. Uh, I do think that more people might explore it though, to an intense degree. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right. It would be, I mean, I have seen it that with some of the actors that I've interviewed, they will switch hair like every now and then, to direct stuff, to produce stuff, which at the same time it's fun because you can see them like keep working on their craft somehow. I mean, and I think that that also helps you to develop yourself more into the whole into the whole like acting entertainment side, right? I mean, if you can get the
Yeah,
chance like to do more stuff, I do think that also kind of helps you to learn more about it, or maybe you will discover like perhaps like what, I love acting, but producing is not that bad too. You know what I mean? Perhaps I will switch a little bit, and that also give you the possibility to get new jobs for different positions somehow.
exactly. Yeah. And we have a lot of like A-listers that now direct and produce. And so, for example, there's a new Kay Scarpetta series coming out with Nicole Kidman and Jamie Lee Curtis, and they're both producing on it. And I mean, that's just an example of them seeing something that they really, really enjoy, and nobody else was doing it. So they said, hey, let's produce it ourselves. I want to do it, so let's do it. And any other producer that comes along, it could be an actor or somebody that produces full time. It's their way of supporting that dream and saying like, "Hey, I might not be an actor on it, but I would love to just support you and see you do something that you love," um, which I think is another wonderful plus side of being able to work on the other side of the camera.
Totally, totally. I like it. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
at the end, if you can get your creativity go in whatever field is possible, go for it.
right. Yeah, I do hope that more people are able to take the opportunity to work behind camera because it does inform them of everything that the crew goes through to make a beautiful film. And it gives you a stronger appreciation being on that side.
Totally. Plus, it's fun.
It's fun for sure.
It's a win-win if you think about it. So
Absolutely, always.
there you go. Now, as the world becomes more environmentally conscious, how might the industry adapt in terms of film production practices and on-set sustainability?
That's a wonderful question that I feel like it I don't really see it much in the news, but there are now rules on set that are specific to ensuring that they are adhering to green conservatory, like environmental practices as much as they can. I think it's a sustainability officer. Don't quote me on that, but um, a lot of sets are really being mindful of, not using one-use plastics for crafty, or making sure that all of like their power sources are like LED or solar or wind energy, or any number of things, trying to just reduce the carbon footprint of set because it can be really really nasty for the environment. We have gas generators and one-use water bottles, and just trash is thrown everywhere. So I'm really glad that we are getting more of a focus on it, and they're pulling in people with a scientific background or a conservation background to do it and specifically calculate this is how much energy you are saving. This is what your emissions are and things like that. It's incredible, and I think more and more sets are doing it. Um, I want to say in the UK there are certain production companies that require it, that you have a sustainability officer. I don't know if that's true in the States. but I know that there's much more of an emphasis on it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, at the end, it's like once you start to think about like how crazy the weather has been over the past few years, and you see like how we actually are getting it to a point that if we don't do something about it, there's gonna be issues going on, and that's kind of a little bit scary at the same time because we want to live, we want to continue living in this world properly, right? I mean, we want to have like those comfort things that we do have, but I get it that in order to do that, you need to be like more conscious of like of the whole, impact, like yeah, like the whole impact we are creating for the weather and to the world and all of that. So
100%. Um, I think I mean, it's just like anybody else trying to make their business more sustainable. Why can't film? Why can't
mm,
we take what we love and make it more sustainable? Everybody
there,
has has a role to play in that.
there you go, super
Yeah.
badass as always.
Question. Yeah,
Now, do you anticipate a shift in the type of stories and narratives that will be popular or prioritized in the next decade?
absolutely. Absolutely. You'll notice that a lot of films mirror what's going on in the community at the time, especially in terms of politics or crisis. During World War II and the Great Depression, a lot of the films were happier, so just to incite joy. And during the Cold War, there was a lot of horrors films and spies because that was a big fear in the US of having a double agent or somebody that was your neighbor and was actually a spy. So definitely, I think our narratives ebb and flow really depending on what's going on because we're inspired by what happens in our life. So um, yeah, what they'll be, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I
Is there
mean,
something that you would hope to see, like as a topic that gets more interest that hasn't had interest as of late?
mm, well, what I would like to see if is like more news stories for I don't know for specific topics. For example, I would like to see if they would release, I don't know, like a World War II film, but on the
Yeah.
other side to it. You
Ah,
know, You know what I
yeah.
mean? Try to tell like a story from the other side. I mean, we already know the story. We already know what happened, like and all of that. But I do think that during like those specific timelines, there's so much stories that perhaps would be interesting to kind of put it on film or even a TV show.
Sure.
And so I would hope we could get the chance like to see more news stories and to share it to everyone, basically. Like I once met someone in Germany who yeah, so she became a friend. One time she invited me to her home, and then her grandma was still alive, and the grandma was super nice, and then like of course that at some point that came into play, that topic. And then she was explaining to me that during World War II, her husband was fighting and everything, but they were like exchanging letters every now and then, so they can be like in full communication. And then when the husband realized what was going to happen, he basically just threw his uniform away and ran away back to her. But like
Uh-huh.
during that yeah, like that process, he went to a lot of things to kind of be able to be back with her, which at the end he
Wow.
did, so that was cool. And then in my head, I was like, what if they don't make a film about that? I mean, of course, that at some point I was like, okay, this is a cool story. But now I'm like, you know what? You could create, kind of a story about that. It doesn't have to be like a full war, explosions, gunshots, and all of that. I mean, yes, some of them are fun
Sure.
sometimes, sure. But there's so many stories that doesn't involve too much of that stuff, and they involve more of the human side of the whole um romance to it, that you love someone and you want to be with that person, and during that time you will do whatever is necessary for you to for you to be back with that person. I mean, I do think that that is also a great way to tell a story,
Hmm.
and so I would appreciate if they would do that. The only thing that I'm hoping that we stop, it's remakes.
Ah.
That's the only thing that I'm like, please just stop. you know
Yeah. Now, all remakes or the remakes that are verbatim exactly the same, just a different cast?
Perhaps not all of them, but for
Yeah.
example, like a couple of months ago, I was checking that they're thinking about to create like a remake of the Harry Potter films, but to a show now.
Oh, oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So I was like, no, don't do that. Instead,
Yeah.
just present the old films. The old films are great, you know. So then,
Right.
I mean, if you want to catch like the new generation to it, present them the old films, you know, and don't do like
Mhm.
an. I mean, don't do a remake on everything, you know. Or, I mean, I
Right.
hope like perhaps like those type of films, just leave them the way they are. They're great. People love them. Show them to them. But yet again, I mean, you can create but for some stories, if you want to do like a remake on something that perhaps at that point wasn't necessarily like a good, like a necessary, I mean, maybe it wasn't big enough because of the whole technology that at that point wasn't so advanced as now, then sure, go
Mhm.
for it.
Right, true. I think that is a great point of bringing back old films to the same audience that instead of I'm trying to think of an example and I can't really pull a good one, but something from like pre 2000s that the new generations haven't seen instead of recreating it, just paying for advertising to get it back there. Because obviously, if they're doing a remake, they have the rights to do so and they have some investment in it. So why not just have a marketing campaign that puts it back out into cinemas? I know Studio Ghibli does that a lot, that they'll do a season of, it's not necessarily a festival, but they'll just present all of their films at AMC theaters or other theaters in town so that everybody can watch the
Hmm.
Studio Ghibli films. There's not necessarily anything new. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're just, hey, we really like our films and we think you should watch them again. And they put them back into theaters.
Yeah, I think a couple of months ago they did that here with Back to the Future.
Oh,
They
fine.
will be like putting I think like I think they was like the whole trilogy to it, but they will put it like
Yeah.
for a week, like we're putting this, go for it, watch it, and then you would be like, sure. I mean, I already watched those films, but watching on
Uh-huh.
cinema, as we were saying before, for the whole experience, I'm down. So,
That is so fun. I love that.
so and I do think that for example on video games, they tend to I mean, they are doing also remakes and some of them are really good, but I do think that that is like another concept of doing a remake on a film. So, as I was saying here, I mean, if you want to recreate something that was done, but right now you want to put like the whole high tech going, I mean, for sure it's gonna look even better. So give it a
Right.
try, but just don't touch like like the sacred ones. That's like no,
The
not,
nostalgia is very strong.
you
Yeah.
know. So that's the only thing that I'm hoping that instead of like what I was saying the other day, instead of doing a remake on something, you can use that budget and create multiple different stories.
Yeah, very
And
much
it's a
so.
win and it's a win-win for everyone. You can also get the chance to present new talent and present new stories and take a risk. So
Right. I love a good risk.
we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens, but yeah. Now, how do you think the role of film festivals will evolve, given the increasing accessibility of digital platforms for showcasing new talent?
Um, I don't know. I don't know if they'll necessarily evolve. I recently come to discover Film Freeway, which is a platform that takes all of like the film festivals and awards and puts them into one place so you can see what their application deadlines are, what they're looking for, things like that, how long they've been around. Um, a lot of people just love to create film festivals, which is great. It means that their community is really seeking out films that might not necessarily be accessible through other festivals to them. I think with specifically digital platforms, a lot of film festivals are going virtual. That they'll just present a virtual screening, which means that I could attend a festival in Germany and not ever have to actually be there, but I get to expand my knowledge of films to whatever they are encompassing. So I think it is just a wonderful opportunity to engage different um, audiences and different areas of the world with new content that they might never have been able to see or even thought that they would be interested in seeing. Um, yeah, making sure that, or not necessarily making sure, but like getting involved in that is a very specific thing. Like if I were to attend said German festival, I had to have an initial interest in it at first. What that is, who knows? But yeah, I think it's definitely a wonderful way to just increase engagement in film for new filmmakers, strong filmmakers, anything of the like. I think it's really cool.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree
Have you
on
ever
that.
seen one of the virtual film festivals?
They once invited me. They were planning to invite me to one a couple of months ago, and I was like super excited. I was already feel like this is it. This is how it goes. From here on
Yeah.
to cloud 9, all of that. But they ended up not inviting me because they had problems with their internet service, so they couldn't make that anymore. And I was
Oh,
like,
that's a bummer.
but
That's that's part of it too, is the internet. You have to have good internet and
you know,
streaming to be able to make it happen. And that's a feat in and of itself. It's tough.
yeah. And I was super excited because they were like putting me in this panel, and I was like, what am I gonna say? You know what I mean? I was like. Like what, like I was like speaking with yeah, with the guys who were creating that. And I was like, are you gonna ask me something, or do I need to say something? And we're like, yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, the fact that you're interviewing like so many actors, we want to know like your input on on what was the topic, on how it was something about that. I mean, it was some time ago, but anyway. So I was kind of a little bit nervous because I was like, okay, so what am I gonna say, But that day I was, already prepared, everything good to go. I was like, okay, this is great. And then like a couple of minutes later, and then one of the guys sent me a message like, you know what, we're having like a lot of problems right now with our internet service, so I'm sorry. So I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So
Yeah. Hey, you're on their radar, so maybe next time.
we'll see, but
It's a
that
really
was
cool
that was kind of
opportunity.
cool, you
You'll
know?
have to let me know if it happens. I want to watch.
Right. I mean, as I was saying, like, I don't know what I'm gonna say, but it's cool. So yeah.
Yeah.
What I would like is, for example, check this idea, and perhaps I'm giving $1 million idea to airlines. Maybe I'm doing
Oh,
it. So if I'm doing it, I'm just making sure that, if an airline wants to share a small piece of profit to me,
there we go.
you
Yeah.
know, check this one out. What if you go on a, I don't know, 3-4 hour flight, right? And then instead of watching the same old stuff that that they're gonna be putting on that, what if they just don't put indie stuff, short films? You know what I mean? So then you will get the like the chance to watch new stuff, and because it's a 2-3 hour flight, you can watch a couple of short films or indie
Mm.
stuff, and you're discovering new talent, you're discovering new things, and you're kind of promoting like that area of the whole, of the whole film side, and not only focusing on the A-list stuff. There's so many cool stuff that it's been created. So you
I
know,
think that's such a fun idea, and us being people that are in entertainment, it's so palatable to us. I do imagine though that the lay person who isn't involved in entertainment may be daunted by that of, oh, I've never heard of this and I've never seen the trailer. Why would I want to see it? Um, I think maybe it could be a great way to present festival winners, particularly festivals that are well known. Because I've noticed that there are films now with A-listers, particularly going to Sundance and Tribeca, that will put it into their film as they're releasing it into cinema of this is a Sundance winning film or whatever. So could do something like that. And I
you
think
know,
that might meet the middle ground. Now, would the airlines make money? I don't know. I don't even know how those deals go. I wonder if the airlines probably pay to have the project on their service.
or what if let's say you go to another country, And during the flight, you can get the chance to see indie stuff from that country, so you can discover like a little bit about the whole, like like how the place is there, like discover new things, or be
Right.
like, you know what, I want to go where they shot that.
That
Uh,
would be so fun and such a fun way to explore where you're about to visit.
yeah.
It's an idea, Dan.
So we'll see what happens. Just
Any
saying.
air- anybody got a Delta British Airways connection?
Air France, Lufthansa.
Air France, get a distribution with Air France.
I mean, I'm just gonna tag them in the video and on the and everything I can just to
Yeah.
put the idea to it.
Check
And
us out at this time stamp.
just saying, because it's I do think that would help for people who are not necessarily involved in the acting entertainment industry to discover that. I mean, I have seen it with friends that they only watch A-list stuff, like the big productions, the big TV shows and all of that. And whenever you put in the conversation the whole indie or short stuff, they just tend to say, like, where do I watch it? Or like, because there is like no much knowledge to it, that I would think that would kind of help for people to discover that, to kind of see what they do. Because let me tell you that when I started this platform and then I started to see in the stuff in order to interview people, there were some cool stuff that I was watching. I was like, you know what, this is pretty cool. And of course, every now and then I will come up with something that would be like, okay, this is nonsense.
Sure.
But we will see it also with big productions, that sometimes they will create stuff in which you're like, what? You know what I mean?
Like,
So we got the
yeah,
both sides here. So why not give it a try to new talent, and at the same time, it helps basically everyone. You can support your local talent, for the country you are going to, and you are showing them that there are more people who is acting, who is producing, who is directing, and all of that.
right.
So.
And I too find that indie productions are supremely creative. Sometimes there's, of course,
Hmm.
there's always one that uses the same trope that all other films do. But I find a lot of creativity out of independent films because they have to be too. They have to be creative in how they shoot and what they shoot. And so their ideas tend to be just a little bit more out there, which I like.
So we'll see. I guess we'll see what
It's a
happens.
great
But
idea.
if at some point you are flying and you see that, just let me know so I could be like, hey, come on, don't be bad, and let me
Uh-huh.
share a little
I'll
bit
keep
to
an
it.
eye out. I'm gonna be in the air in 2, 3 weeks. 2 weeks. I'll be flying to France in 2 weeks. So I will let you know if I see some independent films on there.
There you go. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
I love it. And of course, I mean, if you see something like that, I will, because we're having this conversation, I will, we could share that profit to it, because we're having like, we're like putting like ideas to it. So, it's
Sure,
understandable.
sure. I'll take a coffee. I'll have another coffee chat with Dan.
I'll tell you what, 2 coffees and a donut.
Deal.
There you go. Mm. And now, with mental health becoming a prominent discussion, do you see the industry adopting practices or policies to support actors and crews well-being more effectively?
I wish I knew a solid answer to this. From the sets that I have been on, mm, there's so many different facets of mental health. I think we are definitely seeing a push for more safety on set, both physically and mentally, ensuring that our actors feel comfortable in whatever roles they're playing, they're comfortable with the people that are on set. Um, and same with stunt people and crew, that there is a strong push for anti-harassment and making sure that things are being said and being accounted for if something goes wrong in terms of, you know, depression and anxiety. Do we have policies in place to take care of an actor if they are not able to show up on set? I don't know. A-listers do get a lot of leeway, and I feel like, and are able to not show up on set and be given grace. But it's also on them to take that opportunity to step away and say, hey, I don't have it in me to do this today. I need a day for myself, or I need some self care before I can take care of this. If, as somebody that is not a well-known actor, if I were to call into set and say I was having a panic attack and I was going to be late, I would be fired 100%, and I would never be hired back. Which, coming from the producing side of it, absolutely. Having an actor that I can't depend on to show up really puts me in a tight spot. So, I think it is a bit of a double-edged sword if we want to care for each other, but also the show must go on. There is that horrible trope from theater, the show must go on, even if somebody breaks their jaw and what have you. It's a tough plank to walk. Um, I would love to see actors being more supported, but that also means a lot more money being put into set and a lot, like anywhere from 20 to several hundred people being put out for a day. Um, so I don't know. I think we are putting more emphasis of talking about it
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that we are being aware of our mental health and we are taking care of ourselves when we're not on set.
Yeah.
Um, whether those policies are in place in onset, neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a difficult answer, right? Because
Yeah,
both sides actually have a point.
absolutely. And I don't want to give in to one without recognizing the importance of another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, that is a really tough question. Because I feel like we've all been in situations where we've shown up to work and really did not need to be at work. um, yeah, I think it is tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when you get the chance to be like on the on both sides at some point, you kind of get it some I mean, you kind of understand. You're like, I get it. There's like no specific like there is no yeah, like there is no right answer to it because both sides make sense. So
Right.
yeah, it's challenging basically.
Very challenging.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good
Yeah.
question. I would be so interested to hear what other people have to say about it too. Just seeing different perspectives on it. Um, yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because with some actors that I've asked this question, the answer kind of stays on the same line,
Yeah.
that that per- that is kind of a tough one to say like which like what is, like it's a 50-50 here. And
Yeah.
so I mean, of course, that's those who have been more in the whole acting side and not on the other side, they will try to like get more, they will be supporting like just one idea like a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
And that makes sense. It
you know
influences.
because you haven't like because you actually haven't been there, so it's understandable. But like once you're there, you're like, oh, you
Oh,
know
I see. Yeah. Huh.
so it's challenging.
Great. Yeah.
Hmm. Now, how do you feel about the rise of short form content? Like what we see on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, like all of that. Will this influence the type of content produced or the length of film or shows in the future?
I have so much to say about that.
Go for it.
Um, where to start? Yes, I think it's influencing the type of content that is consumed. And because of TikTok and YouTube and Instagram Reels and things like that, um, and the near obsession that we are having with it, our attention spans are being proven to decline, which means that people won't be able to sit in a cinema and watch a full length feature film that is nowadays ranging around 2 hours to two and a half. So I think more people are definitely going to consume that short form content over going to the cinema. You're not going to see people watching all of the Lord of the Rings films back to back in a marathon. Um, I I frankly don't like it at all. Um, there, I will say my casting database is inundated with short form casting, which, as an actor who wants to mm, how do I phrase this? It's very dramatic. It's very soap opera-esque. Like I think it's quite literally called shorts or film shorts or whatever. There's several platforms now that are coming out that's a streaming service for short form content. Um, they're very soap opera-esque. Um, and personally, it's not what I want to do with my career. It's not what I want to watch. It's not something I'm interested in consuming. Because it's very difficult to create an entirely living character and an entire, beginning, middle, end in 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes. A lot of these are 1 minute long. Um, so it's just we're kind of spoon feeding the audience drama. I do find myself getting frustrated looking at castings, independent casting specifically, and seeing only vertical short form content. It drives me up the wall. But it's providing work for people, so that's good. It's definitely being consumed because a lot of people are interested in doing it. So I don't know. Are you the kind of person that you'll subscribe to a service that
No.
does? Yeah. I realized
No.
I've just like totally crapped on it, and I was like, "Oh, maybe Dan really likes it because I know somebody that really enjoys it. Um, there's some. It's one of the ones that's advertised on TikTok that she really enjoys, and she'll go through like 15 episodes. They call them episodes. Um, but I mean, it's just over the top. They take everything to the extreme,
Mm.
which, is a form of creativity. So I see it's being consumed. I see people like it. I'm not that person.
Yeah, no, no, me neither. I mean, it's interesting when you see people getting so addictive to it that they're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and they will keep continue watching.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I do think that perhaps, I mean, well, the obvious thing here is that there's basically room from for everyone. For example, I
Sure.
mean, we saw that Oppenheimer won Best Picture, and it's a
Hmm.
what, like a 3 hour film, something like that, right? Something around
Wow.
like around. So I do think that there is, yeah, like room for everyone. But I mean, I'll be honest, I wouldn't pay anything for a streaming platform with short form content. You know? Even the dog answered that.
Right.
So so yeah,
Mhm.
as I was saying, I mean, I mean, I wouldn't pay for a streaming platform for short form content. No.
Mhm.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, to be honest, for example, I hate when a TV show it's a 20-minute episode. I'm like, no, no, don't do that. You know, I hate when they do that. For example, Disney Plus tend to do that a lot in their shows, and
Right.
I hate it because you start to get hooked to it, and you're like, okay, this is it. You know, you're kind of feeling it. You're like at that point in
Uh-huh.
which you're like watching it, and then got it, and you're like, come on, you know what I mean? So
Right. We are creating content, I think, that is specifically meant to binge, which I don't know how I feel about that. Because, I mean, on the other end of things, back in the day when we did have cable, it was, well, when cable was more popular, the like sitcoms ended up being probably like 20, 30 minutes. And I think it was like 28 minutes total in length because
mhm.
of all the commercials. But there were commercials. So yeah, I don't
But
know. I think we
it's a tough one.
it is a tough one. Yeah.
I mean, because I know people who actually love that, who they will follow. I don't know, people who create like short form shows, and they will be constantly watching. And I'm like, okay, sure, but at least to me, but to me, I'm like, you know what? It takes more than a minute for me to get hooked to something. You know, I actually I want to like explore like a little bit more. You know, if you're presenting characters, how you are presenting them. You know, show me something. But because otherwise, I'm feeling that I'm watching like a trailer.
Right. That's fair. That's a good point.
You know, so
I don't know.
I mean,
I feel
maybe
like,
that, you know,
yeah. I'm trying to think of a scenario where I would really enjoy like a 1 minute vertical short form, and I cannot think of it.
But you know what? Maybe because we are from a different generation, so it's kind of difficult to us. So I kind of get it, as I saw it
Yeah,
with my parents, as I was, I don't know, hooked to something. For them, it was different because it's a different. So I kind of get it that way. But
exactly.
I mean, as I was saying, I mean, it takes more than a minute for me to say this is great. So I mean, to be honest, I'm struggling with making reels on my case with that
Uh-huh.
with the whole chat with Dan, because sometimes there's a lot of times that happen that the answer is that they're giving an answer and it's great, it's perfect, but because I need to keep it in 1 minute or 1 minute 30, I need to chop it off. So sometimes I'm like, ugh, you know what I mean? Like it kind of cuts the whole thing because I'm like they're giving an incredible answer, and now I need to cut it, and I need to make sure that it looks kind of that it kind of actually makes sense. But it has happened a lot of times that I cut one thing and the answer doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like I'm
Oh,
missing, like you're missing the point to it. So I'm like what is like the sweet spot to it? So at least on my end, I would appreciate if they, yeah, I don't know, you know.
that's a good point. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I can definitely see at least on Instagram Reels. In your case, it's a great way to like promote your content and encourage people to watch more, but making it cohesive out of such a beautiful long form conversation is very hard.
Yeah, it's bad because as I say here, I mean, a couple of days ago I was working on some reels on an interview that I had, and usually I will get like, for example, now that I'm seeing, there were like, I could have created like 8 or 9 reels from that specific interview, but because
Wow.
yeah, but because the answers were sometimes like a little bit longer, I ended up making two.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I kind of feel bad because I'm like, you know what? I mean, they're giving like a great answers to it. So I need to they actually make sense. So why not put them out there? So I'm kind of
Yeah.
struggling right now with that. And especially right now since I'm kind of reusing old stuff like back when I started like on Instagram and everything, like they're actually pretty cool stuff there. So I'm like, let me just put it again. And as I
Yeah.
said, I mean, I'm kind of struggling because several times I can't really upload much of a specific interview with someone because their answers goes beyond that. And if I don't make it as a reel, it doesn't have like the same, um yeah, like it doesn't expand more people to watch it, you know what I mean?
The stinking algorithm. I hate it so much.
Yeah, I'm actually this close to go back to college and study marketing.
Hey, I can see how it'd be beneficial.
Totally. I'm actually this close. I'm actually been thinking about like what if I just go for it, and
Yeah.
go back to college, only this time I'm much older now, so it will be interesting. So,
Yeah, it would be a different story.
but as I say here, I mean, but I don't know. I mean, I mean, as I said, I mean, I do think that there is room for everyone, which is great, but let's just keep it that way and we'll be all fine.
Yeah, for sure.
So, now, do you anticipate any shifts in how actors are trained or educated for their careers in the future?
Um, no, not really. Because the techniques that we learn are forever implemented. Like I've studied Meisner and Stanislavski, and those are techniques that were developed a long time ago. So I don't think so. I think there's new techniques that are coming about that are getting more attention. So yes and no. I think
Mm,
fundamentally acting is just being human, um, and finding a way to find yourself in the human that isn't you, if that makes sense.
hmm
Um, and that's never going to change. The job is not going to change. What's going to change is how you get there. So yeah, I don't really think anything will change.
Perhaps it might change I mean, yeah, they just came to my mind that what if they teach them the whole marketing side?
That would be wonderful. Because I never went to like formal school.
Mm-hmm.
people that went to theater school or cinema school, they don't teach you the business of acting. And I think it is something that everybody I know in the industry that did go to school for entertainment regrets, is that they weren't taught business.
Mm-hmm.
That would be so cool. And honestly, I'm surprised that it hasn't been incorporated yet.
Yeah.
Because 90% of the job on my end of things is rejection. And then being your own business person and running your own business. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
I've seen that with like when this topic comes to conversation, I would say that 98% or 99%, like
Yeah.
they will say the same thing that they wish that they could get the chance to learn the whole business side to it. I mean, yes, you learn how to, like the whole like the core of acting and all of that, which is great. But at the same time, it would be nice if in acting schools too, they could teach you a little bit to it, so you can have like a heads up of what you're about to expect, or how, or perhaps ideas on how you can start to like brand yourself. Because at the end of the day, you are kind of promoting your brand, your name, like your everything here. So I mean, I would hope that they would get the chance to teach you a little bit to it, so you will not be once you finish and be like, what the hell is a reel? You know what I mean? Or like how
Right.
or how am I be able to create my film reel, or or where do I get my headshots? Like things like that have
Right.
discovered with this platform, that there is this kind of gap between that. Perhaps it would be useful to new actors, and even old actors too, who have those who have already experience, to kind of get a course to it, so they can learn new techniques, new things here and there. I think that would be helpful.
Yeah. Especially just getting a lot of the frustration out of the way. And I mean, headshots, resumes, reels cost money. Paying taxes in multiple states is complicated. Just to have that one less thing off your plate to worry about because you already know how it goes would give us more time to focus on our craft. So yeah, that'd be wonderful.
You know what I mean? I'm
For
actually,
you.
I'm actually been thinking about that what if Chat with Deng expands like a little bit more and actually provide those services to actors.
Hmm.
I'm kind of being like having this idea a couple of months ago, but I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna do it, I need to be prepared to it, and I need to know exactly what like what I'm about to do and things like that. I mean, because yes, I mean with this platform, I've known a little bit more about the whole acting industry, entertainment, music, like and all of that, which is great. But if I want to present those services to people who want me to help them, I need to be sure that I actually know what up, like what am I doing, and how am I gonna do it, so then it could actually be helpful and not a waste of time, basically.
Right. And I feel like too, a lot of it is market based outside of your brand,
Yeah.
but like a headshot in Atlanta looks very different than a headshot in the UK versus Los Angeles. So it's very market specific as well. Your
Mm.
resume has to be formatted a certain way according to your agent or what market you're in. So
So yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like all of those things that when you start doing something, you just don't putting it into consideration. But once you're out there, you're like, I need to create this. I need to have my reel with this. I need to have my headshots like that. And,
Right.
like things that perhaps you just don't know about it, and that's okay because they don't taught you to it. Sure, but why not presenting those services, or making it like more accessible for new actors to be like, you know what, if I want to get my headshots, I know where to look, or if I need to do this, I need to where to look, I know where to look, like all of that. So,
Right. Good
so
point.
yeah. So who knows? Maybe Chat with them will,
That'd be
will
cool.
yeah. I mean, because it's great now, because since I know directors, I know photographers, I know like all of those people. I've been thinking about it, like really, like what if I just start like this type of, like I have the platform and I have other like branches here and there that could actually help like actually help, and actually provide a service that would be helpful for those who are starting out, and not to, because like that is like the thing here. I mean, with this platform, I have also heard so many yeah, kind of dark stories every now and then that they tell me when they were starting out, and I'm like, "Ugh," like I
Right.
wish, like I wish there could be something out there who could actually provide a legit and yeah, like a legit service who is actually who wants the best for you and not so many stories as I've heard from people who they say they will help or they will provide you what you need and they ended up being like a total scam or they will be taking advantage of you,
Yeah, for sure.
so we'll see.
All right, Chad Dan, we'll see.
And as global politics and social issues become more intertwined with entertainment, do you see actors taking on more activist roles in the future?
Absolutely. Um, I think it's at the core of an actor to care about whatever issue is on their heart. But I mean, an actor is very empathetic. That is the job. And so, of course, there are a ton of social issues, environmental issues, what have you, close to our hearts. I think major actors have the means and the platform to be able to be a formal activist and also the time because they have the means and the platform to put towards being an activist. But I definitely see like it as more and more A-list actors are becoming activists. I think it's giving a lot more of starting out actors confidence that their careers won't be ruined for speaking their mind. And also to not care if you were very passionate about something and a production company has an issue with it and they don't want to hire you, you don't need to be working for them. So I don't know. I would love to see all actors using their platform to speak up about something they're passionate about. Uh, but also, I know that that can be very taxing on the community around them. Of I watch your show and then I get a lecture afterwards. Um, so I don't know. I'm sure. Yeah, I guess the answer to the question is yes. I think so. How that'll manifest, I don't know. How the world will like it, I don't know. But that's okay.
True, true. I mean, it's a difficult time,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because I do think that there's some actors who are afraid. I mean, that's understandable that they are afraid of the whole cancel culture.
100%. I mean, people with a bigger following tend to have a publicist and a legal team that helps them navigate that of here's what you're passionate about, here's what you believe, here's how we present it, or here's how we don't present it.
Hmm.
This is what we shouldn't say. Um, I don't know how I would feel in that position. I think it would take a lot of stress off of me for sure. Of am I expressing myself in the way that I hope to? But also the idea of almost being a politician of having somebody tell me like, "Oh no, 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 you can't say that."
You
I
know?
think I might. I don't do well with being told, "No, you can't speak your mind."
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah,
Because that's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, you do want to also put food on your table. So
right. Yeah. Do you ever find yourself like censoring yourself? And that's like a very personal question.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, every day.
Um, because what we do is looked at,
Hmm. Yeah.
and it is sometimes like I notice I pick my battles. Like, okay, I know this is going to spark a lot of conversation. Do we have the mental fortitude to take on the influx of messages that you're going to have to acknowledge
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
or not?
Hmm. That's the
Yeah.
thing here. I do struggle with that every day, basically.
Yeah.
That I get this idea like I'm gonna talk about this thing. Oh yeah, let's go. But as I'm going for it, on the process on actually put it out there, I'm like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
no.
Also, I think it is there is something to be said for cancel culture really started hitting at people that weren't posting because we are such like a social media centric society that they weren't posting what they believed in. So like if they didn't post about the Gaza conflict or they didn't post about Ukraine, then they hated it. They didn't care. And I don't I really strongly disagree with that viewpoint that
Hmm.
you don't have to post to believe in it. Sometimes it comes down like you can have your own personal beliefs and not have to post on social media
That's the
about
thing
it.
here. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If you care to know where I stand on it, you can ask me.
Yeah.
And most of the time people don't. They
Yeah.
just attack.
That's the thing here. I mean, they ask your opinion, but when you say your opinion, it's wrong. So we either if you don't say your opinion, it's wrong. But if you say your opinion, it's wrong. So
Yeah.
so and that's I mean, as I was telling you, like every now and then when I really want to like speak up about something, in the process, I'm like, you know what? No, because maybe it could happen that if I say something, perhaps someone that I interviewed in the past or something like that will get this will will get into this conversation and all of that, and to be honest, sometimes I'm like, you know what? I have enough drama in my plate right now. I don't need I just don't want something else. So it's tough. It's tough because as I say here, I mean, I would want to, I would love to, but maybe not right now. Maybe at some
Right.
point I will talk about something, but but yet again, I mean, uh, I mean, should I? You know what I mean? Or the other way
Right.
around, which is, what if I just stick to my own beliefs to myself and problem
Yeah.
solve?
It's almost like the separation of like this is my personal life and this is my business life. My
Mm-hmm.
business is chat with Dan. My personal life is none of your business.
You
Kind of
know,
a thing.
and that's it. And I think that is about at least to me, it's helping because then I'm like, okay, so my personal stuff, it's for me and for me only, and that's it. And
Yeah.
if somebody thinks that I'm wrong on my personal life or for something that I believe in, well, too bad.
Yeah. And like in that instance, I'm like, cool, I'm open to have a conversation with it if you approach me about it.
And if you're
Uh,
and if you are approaching in a kind of a in a respectful way that you actually want to have a conversation and not throwing me out just stuff randomly, to actually prove a point, because that's the thing here also, that we are that you can that having this type of conversations, you need to be super careful with who are you going to have those conversations, because
Absolutely.
you know what I mean, because there's people out there who are open to it, and then I'm like, okay, let's have a conversation, because there could be some interesting points that perhaps my point of view didn't saw him at that point, and perhaps I could learn
Absolutely.
something, or actually change
Yeah.
my mind on something. But the thing is that when you want to have that conversation, it's complicated sometimes, and it ended up being in a war of insults at some point. So
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it feels more like a war than a conversation or a debate. Like I feel like we've really lost the art of a healthy debate, and just turned it into just a massacre.
that's the thing here. So, and due to that, that have caused us to be more divided as ever right now. I mean,
100. Yeah.
that is one of the things here that I'm constantly seeing every day, that sometimes we will be arguing about an idea, but when you get the chance to actually hear hear the other person's point of view, you might realize that you actually are fighting for the same thing, just with
Right.
different but with different names, let's say.
Absolutely.
You know? So
Yeah.
I mean, I would hope that people would actually get the chance to actually be in those conversations, and actually get the chance to be respectful, and to actually, if you want to learn a different point of view, go for it. But get the chance to learn properly and not trying to force or to show who has like the best point of view. Because if you are going to a conversation with that idea, you then don't do it.
Yeah. It's not worth the conversation.
So yeah. And how do you think the role of importance of critiques and film critiques will change in the digital area, where basically everyone can be a reviewer now?
Um, that's a good question. I think I don't really know, honestly. Because I personally read like Hollywood Reporter, or like Deadline. I really read Deadline. Hollywood Reporter is more of a gossip column.
Hmm.
Deadline for like my film news and things like that. I'm not one to enjoy film critiques. I love to hear what other people have to say about my work, just so that I can see how what I've done plays to other people's like viewpoints that I might not have. But also, if I'm going to go watch a film, I'm not going to read the reviews before I watch it. I'm not that person. I'll see if it was, there it is. I see what it's rated and I'll take that into consideration, but I'll still go watch. I don't read the reviews. So I guess with that said, we're getting more of an all-encompassing view of how films are viewed. Um, I kind of want to take that back too because I feel like the people that critique are the ones on like either ends of the spectrum. That is such a hard question, Dan. I don't know. I really don't know. I guess I have no clue. What are your thoughts on it?
Mm, I do think okay, so I'll it's great that everyone who wants to share their voice has a platform to it. And if they
Sure.
want to reviews, I mean that's cool. But at least to me, I don't quite pay attention to it. For example, if I want to see a film, even if a lot of reviewers are saying it's horrible, I'm gonna be ended up watching it because I want to see it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You
And I'm
know?
the person that you know, I was talking about kinds of kindness yesterday, of how people were concerned that it was going to be one of the films that nobody liked. Uh and then only the very weird film people really enjoyed it. If it was a film that nobody liked, that I heard from my friends, I would want to go see why it was a film that nobody liked, you know? So
Hmm.
I guess you take critiques as you will. You take them as a grain of salt or you put your whole life on them.
Hmm.
I
I
really don't
mean,
know anybody's lives,
yeah,
but
that's the thing here. I mean, I do. I mean, I think everyone right has like their own has already found their favorite reviewer or their favorite place to watch reviews. I mean, I think everyone has it, right? But as I said here, I mean, I even though that when they say that a film is bad or a TV show is bad, if I want to see it, I will see
I
it. You know, because
yeah,
I want to have like opinion on me and be like, you know what, I did watch it, I agree or I disagree. And
yeah. I think film critiques in that vein are great at encouraging other people to have their own opinion and encouraging them to explore what their opinion is.
yeah, which is great because it gives you the opportunity to kind of, to speak up. But I mean, it depends because there are yeah, there are some reviews out there that if they don't like something, that just say they don't without giving it a specific reason. And at least to me, that's not my cup of tea because I do want to see their point of view on how they don't like something or on how they did like something. You know, I want to know, like more depth to it. You know.
Yeah.
So because I've seen also reviews that now that we were speaking about like the whole short form content, that sometimes they will be using that minute to talk about a specific film. And I do think that perhaps that is not enough. You know, take your time to talk about a film to actually yeah, tell us the whole thing if you like it or not, but give like a specific points of view to kind of start up a conversation to it instead of just throwing a 1 minute video and say this film is good because this is this and that yeah, that's it, thanks for watching. That tends to me to be like a no and say you know so.
Right. I find it like a cop out. Just I didn't like it. That's it.
And then you're like, but why?
But why? I'm interested to know if I might think the same thing, you know?
That's the thing here, so I'm like and so it's I mean I don't know, I mean, do I watch a lot of reviews? No, but I mean, unless here's the thing, unless I watch a film, then sometimes it happens that I watch a film and then I want to see the reviews.
Ah,
So perhaps there were things that I didn't watch the first, when I was watching that I missed. So then I'm
right,
like,
that I missed.
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm like, oh, so this was because of that, or like Easter eggs. Like, did you know that in this they were portraying that one? You're like, oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, I do. I will watch film reviews for that to find things like connections or, like you said, Easter eggs that I didn't necessarily see before, or just understanding the process. Those film reviews I really enjoy. The ones that discuss, yeah, like you said, discuss it in more detail.
Because then you can tell the difference that, and actually, yeah, it makes sense. That you can tell the difference from those who are doing it because they because they actually love to do a review, and those who wants to become relevant because the film is a hot topic those days. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's a shame because you kind of I mean, if you're doing it for just the fame, as we have spoken in the past, that if you're doing something just for the fame of it, then you better buckle up because it's gonna take a while, and people are gonna instantly tell when it's not real.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
You would
So,
hope. Yeah, you would hope.
so that's the thing here. So yeah, I do think that we're gonna have more reviewers, sure, but I do hope that we have more reviewers with more arguments instead of just nothing and that's it. So,
Yeah, more intention to it.
totally. And my last question. So we can all enjoy and relax after a couple of amazing, difficult conversations, questions here and there. So here it is, and I think you see that. I think you see the next question coming, but we'll see.
Mhm.
What do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
I was prepared for this one this time. Which I mean, my answer changed as we talked more, but I think face the future because
Face
we
the
we talk a
future.
lot about the future and what we anticipate and what we hope for and what we fear. So yeah, instead of back to the future, we're facing the future.
Facing the future. I like it.
Yeah,
There you go. You actually came prepared. I love it.
I did come prepared because usually this question throws me off so much. I scramble. So I was prepared this time.
There you go. I love it. It actually happens a lot of times that when I asked that question, there was actually one person that you can see on the video if you pay attention that their eye was kind of twitching a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, I'm actually broken. I'm actually down."
Dan, are you sure that wasn't me?
I don't know.
I'm
Um,
sure. Sure. I think the first time you asked me that question, I totally just blanked. I said, I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know.
but there are some actors who that they flip that question to me, and they're like, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Ah, crap," and then I'm
That's
and,
intelligence.
and then I will have to be like, I don't know,
All
or
right, Dan. What do you think?
facing the future.
Peter.
We got it. But it's
We got
interesting because I have also discovered that when I ask this question, for example, a friend of mine that he's listening or watching pretty much all of the episodes, whenever I ask this question, he loves it because he tells me like on the moment that we are kind of thinking about like the topic, he will be thinking too and be like, you know what, you could put this title or you could put that title or you could, like they will have like a different point of views. So that's kind of
That's
an
fine.
yeah, it's actually working, and people, as those that I've been asking, like, hey, what do you think about this question? Because that is like one of the things that I usually do. So I get the questions, I send them over to, like, what do you think about that? Do you want me to change something? And all of that. And that question tends to be like more, tends to have like the perfect finish to it.
Yeah, it is. And it's just a great way to reflect on
Mhm.
our conversation today and having a good chat.
Yeah, and you can tell if they are actually paying attention to it or they were not paying attention to it.
100%.
So,
100%.
so it's
Yeah.
facing the future. Then we'll leave it like that.
Facing the future.
There you go. I mean, at the end, what can I say here? I mean, you're killing it out there. You're rocking. I mean, it's incredible the amount of things you do every now and then. Like on your stories that you will be doing, producing things, or on behind the scenes, things like that. And it's really amazing because, at least to me, and I'm pretty sure there's people out there who would agree that it inspires you to continue pursuing whatever you're pursuing by watching someone, which is on this case it's you, who are creating like your own stuff, who is hustling, who is like going for it. So that's pretty badass.
Oh, thank you, Dan. I feel like you're doing the same thing. You're constantly putting out content. You're meeting with incredible people and telling wonderful stories and asking very thoughtful questions. And I am very glad that you do what you do. Keep doing it. Keep kicking ass.
There you go. So I want to thank those who stayed here through this whole episode. Now in the comments below, let us know what you think about, if you agree or not, join the conversation. But also, go follow Mallory right now. I mean, as I was saying in the beginning, but at this point, you should know why she's super badass. So let's continue following her, supporting her, and let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Mallory. And again, keep rocking out there, keep shining, keep being super badass, and I'll see you in the next one.
See you on the next one, Dan. Thanks.